Hi, I'm Will Poulter.
And I'm Charles Melton, and this is the A24 Podcast.
Dive right in.
Dive right in.
The A24 Podcast.
Pretty cool.
Really cool, man.
It's so cool to be a part of a film, for one.
Yes.
And then A24 is so cool.
I know, man.
And then Alex Garland and Ray Mendoza.
Dude, that's nuts, right?
All you guys. It's pretty incredible.
It's been a pretty kind of like dreamy combination of things. You know, I was talking to someone about how impressive I think it is that it was co-directed, because, and I actually was able to say this to, you know, Alex and Ray, who are both like strong personalities.
Right.
And I was able to say this, I hope, in a way where they were able to kind of like, you know, receive it in the spirit in which I said it, which was like, I wasn't sure how two such like strong kind of like personalities would fare when it came to co-directing.
Right.
And it required both of them to like practice this amazing level of like self-awareness and humility,
right,
and deference to each other over different
right,
things, and watching that happen. And then like a massive group of guys as well. You just
right,
wonder like,
right,
it's a lot of testosterone,
yeah,
it's a lot of like personalities, and it's kind of amazing how it all kind of
right,
came together.
It's felt very just like, yeah, both Alex, very selfless.
Yes.
Just, you know, there's different kinds of egos, but there's no ego that got in the way of just like this whole story, because, and even with all of us guys and everything and what we did, it was, it kind of felt like we were all on ground zero.
Yeah, man.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
And, you know, we showed up and did a lot of different things that kind of, the methodology that informed our whole process.
Yeah.
I've never done a play before, or
Right,
theater,
no,
or anything.
Neither.
But like, you know, hearing Alex talk about it, and just kind of like what our experience was, where there's no shot list and we're shooting like 20-minute long takes, and it's, you know, people from the theater are probably like 20 minutes. Like that's nothing but like over and over and over again.
Yeah.
It's just incredible how it all.
Yeah, it was unconventional in so many ways.
Right.
And also the thing that I really loved about the process is like, you know, where possible and to a large degree, like, didn't really feel like you were actors or going about it in the kind of traditional way of like spending time in your trailer and, you know, kind of spending time apart from the ensemble. Like we were all together kind of at all times. Right. Like never really left the environment that we shot in.
No.
And kind of operated like a unit.
And it informed everything.
Yeah.
It never felt like we were acting. It was impossible. Like 30 seconds goes by, a minute goes by, and cameras are going on for like, you know, 15 more minutes. Like there's no acting. It's like existing, right? And like, yeah, I never felt, again, you know, the immersion. Like we, you know, it was pretty amazing. It was kind of cool though with all of us guys, you know. Our roles were, we were OIC.
Yeah.
Kind of like the chain of command, and like kind of how Ray, you know, created leadership through the boot camp, and how, you know, we learned so many things, right? All the quotes that we would write every day, that you would write every day, like really leaning on each other.
I caught some heat for some of those. Some of those were like very corny, I think.
Really?
Yeah. The fire was like, "What are we graduating?" He was like, he was like,
"Fall down 6 times, you get back."
Exactly.
Yeah, Will wrote that way.
Tired as hell, Googling inspirational quotes like first thing in the morning.
I'll never forget when we got Everyone Watches, and you would, because you kept the voice and everything, like a part of like the process, like, you know, the instrument, you kept the instrument warm by always like speaking in the American accent, right? Which is so incredible, and I really respect that, and amongst other things. But it was just, I'll never forget. All right, gentlemen, it is 05:42. Have breakfast done by 06:30. We're meeting at base camp. Get through the works, hair and makeup by 06:45, and get rigged up. And we will leave here at 0700 for the marquee, to be there at 0715, and then to arrive to block at 0730. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That is so funny.
But you really led, man. And, you know, I learned a lot. Like you led us, you led me. And then, you know, we all led each other. It's funny, you know, when we're kind of like setting the tone in a way based off of our roles and like kind of the responsibility that Ray gave us. It's funny, and I remember telling somebody, yeah, Will would always be the last one to eat. Always the last one to eat. He'd be the first one at the food truck for breakfast. You know, we take turns giving orders. Sometimes you'd be like, Top, can you get this? And I'm like, fuck, all right. Let me get my voice. Because, like, you know, we have to be direct, and there's a certain kind of the semantics and, like, the terminology is very alien. But you would always be the last one. You let everyone go eat before you, and you'd be the last one. And I was like, fuck. Will's doing this, and I'm OIC as well. So I'm like, I gotta fucking wait.
No, dude, like, you're really kind to say that, but man, the way that you approached your leadership role and assumed your responsibilities, you did it with real grace. I learned a lot by watching you and how you went about it. And for those listening and or watching, like, you know, we were given, you know, a really great honor and responsibility in our roles as officers in charge and representing the real life people that we represent. And same is true of Joe Quinn, who formed the kind of like third point in the leadership triangle. And I think, I can't speak for anyone, but my nerves around being the officer in charge and having not earned that role, you know, immediately being kind of, by definition, in charge of anything felt like wrong. And what was really cool was to see how all the guys sort of cast aside ego and just committed wholeheartedly to the sort of hierarchy and the structure of things and the protocol. And, you know, I think like trust and certainly like genuine love and affection kind of developed over the like natural course of the boot camp and the shooting process. And that was really, really cool to see. And as you said, it just ended up informing everything that we did going forward. And I'm so glad we went about it that way. I was going to take it back and ask you how warfare like first, you know, kind of like landed on your desk, so to speak, and what your initial thoughts were. Because obviously you have a like deep personal connection to the story as well.
Right. Well, yeah, I as you know, and for anyone listening, my dad was in the Army for 24 years. You know that, and I think the beautiful thing that we get to do with this medium, with being actors, is, you know, there's reasons for doing a job, and sometimes I'd like to have most of those reasons for every job be like some sort of personal reason for me, and it was to get closer to my dad, to understand my dad better, man. Right? So in order to get the process of understanding my dad better also taught me in process. I'm an actor, did not experience, you know, anything that he experienced, but just more so in a way understanding the maybe, again, we have no idea what it's like. We're just actors, but it just brought me closer to my dad. And
like understanding him from a psychological perspective?
Maybe just, it's always difficult for the veteran community, and like we've talked about this, like difficult for the veteran community to speak about certain things that have happened. It's indescribable, right? So to be able to, for, you know, as the reason, you know, part of Ray doing this for Elliot is so that he can see it instead of just reading transcripts of like a recollection of like, you know, 10 different guys or 15 different guys from the operation. Just, you know, he can actually see it and experience it. And I think, you know, growing up like those 4 years, my dad was away, you know, deployed. I'm just still a kid growing up. I don't know what's happening or the idea. Not that I know what's happening, but I think doing this whole film with all of you guys and with Alex and Ray just like brought me closer to maybe not the experience, but the idea, like maybe, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and helping you understand.
Yeah, and like just the from like military tactics to protocol to the brotherhood to the camaraderie to humility. I just learned so many different things throughout the process, and it just helped me understand my dad better. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, I remember meeting with Alex and Ray. We got dinner. If I knew Alex and Ray better then, I would have not went to the place we went to dinner at.
Why? What was it?
I don't know. It was like someplace like in Beverly Hills. I was like, "Did you guys pick this place?" They're like, "No." Did you pick this place? I was like, "No." This
You
is
like
the
know
last
they'd be
place I
cool
wanna
with like
be.
a slice of pizza and a beer.
Yeah,
like,
no, it was like steak was like $100. I was like, "What? What is this?" I couldn't pronounce like half the thing, the menu. But we met, and like it's so funny. I remember, Ray shared the story, with me, and then they kind of like told me their vision and talked about the intensity of this project, and I was just like, I'm in. I'm already in. And then, Alex was like, I'm not gonna do his accent. I'm not gonna do it. But he goes, Charles, piece of advice: never say yes to anything before you read it.
Yes, I remember
You can imagine him saying that.
Oh my god, yeah.
And I was like, no, I know. But I know I'm going to do it. I just felt it, just instinctually.
You had that like,
conviction.
Yeah,
I just knew, and next thing I know, I'm with you guys. Was the process because you met with Alex and?
Yeah, I met with Alex like actually separately from Ray initially.
Yeah.
And it's funny, man. Like on paper, it was like a yes. It was like one of those things where they were like, Alex Garland's next A24 movie. I was like, well, yeah, obviously I'm going to want to do that.
Right.
And then to be honest, when he told me that it was a war film, like, and I've told you this, but like my heart sunk a little bit.
Right.
The reason being, and I should have known better because it's Alex Garland.
Right.
And it's A24. Like, I should have known better, but my heart sunk because I thought there are so many films that depict war that run the risk or actively kind of like glorify it or romanticize it, and like we don't need another film that does that. And one of the things that Alex said to me very early on that I like latched onto was this idea that he wanted to challenge the Hollywood grammar in how war films are sort of made and tell a story without Hollywood grammar. That is to say, remove the fictionalization, not try and glorify it, like create something that is a very literal recreation of the events so that you can see the kind of horrifying like consequences of war and how that impacts everyone. And when he said that, I really leant in and I was really excited. And I kind of returned to that initial state of like excitement and bizarre, like having Alex Garland, a filmmaker I've admired for so long, quite literally like on my bucket list of directors I want to work with, and then like offering me the role. I was like, this is nuts. Like people talk about pinch me moments, like that was one of them. And it was just, it was a real honor and a privilege to like be part of something that really like broke with convention and was so different to anything that I think certainly I've ever done or ever really has been done, that's a really rare opportunity for anyone. Like it's like a once in a lifetime opportunity. So that was really cool. And one thing I did kind of know going into it, which I knew would be really enjoyable, is that as a group of guys, we were going to get incredibly close.
Right.
And me and you started on the journey kind of earliest because we met in
Coronado.
San Diego, meeting the two gentlemen that we represent, and their identities are protected for obvious reasons. And kind of we embarked on the journey like early on, and it was funny like meeting you because at that point we didn't know each other at all. We'd been in like the same room once. We didn't know each other at all, but I knew that by way of this process of this 4-week boot camp and 5-week shoot, whatever it was, like we were going to end up incredibly close, like
in love,
and in love as it happens. And that's such a cool thing. That's such a beautiful aspect of this process as well, that like as a group of guys we've all got so close, and met some amazing personalities through the process.
What's interesting is someone that was asking me about this process, right? Like, you guys got so close. Like, you guys got tattoos. You guys stayed, like, you know, you guys ate
lived
every
with each
meal.
other as well,
yeah. And like, you guys got tattoos. But I think I was just, basically the way the person was asking these questions is, you did all these things in order to connect. And I was like, we didn't get the tattoo to connect.
Mm-mm.
We didn't eat to connect.
Mm-mm.
Like, we just connected.
And we wanted all those things.
And we wanted all those things. And it was, it was just like interesting because, you know, I don't think I'll ever experience what we experienced, like, through this process. I it's hard to imagine.
Yeah.
To ever experience something like that, as far as just like, I mean, we all talk every day, you know, love each other.
Yeah.
And it's crazy too, you know, I don't think people understand the extent where, you know, when Elliot came to the Penley Manor and
Train. Yeah, Train.
Train. People don't know. I mean, I don't know if we talk about it, but, you know.
Elliot coming to visit, yeah.
Yeah, coming to visit, and just like, you know, it's like we're all like kind of one body. We move together. If Ray needed to take care of somebody, we were all taking care of that person.
Yeah.
If one person needed something, we all needed it, and we all found out how to got it.
It was cool seeing also like just the individual growth in all of the guys through the process. Like it made better people out of everyone who went through that training. Like in terms of being accountable, being kind of like teammate before you are an individual.
Right.
It made everyone, I think, like more selfless.
Right. We could tell. You could probably all of us can give each other, all 13 of us, each other's meal request.
Meal order.
Yeah, meal order. Because, you know, it was always one person like taking the reins and just being like, this is what we're going to, guys, we're going to eat in this room at this time. Like, what do you want? Send your orders. And then that person, most of the time, you or whoever, Finn, whatever, would go to the restaurant and get the order. So we could shout
out to the staff in that hotel who just like were incredibly accommodating of 13 very hungry boys every day. I mean, like, Noah ate 3 burger patties every night, which was pretty extraordinary to watch without deviation. I don't think he ever changed his order. It's kind of wild to watch that.
Yeah, those fries are so good.
It's good fries in Train. Yeah, and I think like so much of what you see on screen is a direct result of the process, right? And I was really grateful that like Alex and Ray and production kind of like facilitated that for us, and it made it really special. It made everything like feel a bit more authentic. And I think like broadly what that means is that the film is more authentic, it is more realistic, and my hope is it's received in the spirit in which we made it, which was to just make something that reflects like the absolute reality of that situation, so that whatever your political stance or whatever your perspective is on war, it's like at least there's something that you can view that accurately represents what that, you know, experience can be and what the consequences can look like, as opposed to us rooting it in something that maybe tries to sort of make it look cool or entertaining. Like Ray said it himself, it's like if you watch this film and you think like that looks like a good time and you want to like sign up for it, it's like there's probably something wrong with you, like, from a psychological perspective. Do you know what I mean? This is just one of many stories. He's like, but understand that this can be, you know, the consequences of what it is to serve and go to war. And he's not saying don't, but he's saying be prepared to reckon with the consequences.
Yeah, because this isn't just some idea. This is a telling.
Exactly.
To as the most authentic and truest form of.
On a totally different note, but keeping it A24, you're working on Beef at the moment.
Yes.
I know you can't say like all too much, but how fun is it for you to go from something like Warfare and then, you know, do something on the TV side that is so different, and from a acting perspective, I imagine like comes with a whole host of other sort of challenges and a different process as well.
Right. It's happy to be working, grateful to be working.
Yeah.
It's definitely lighter in ways, and it's been so much fun. You know, I can't say too much, but I mean, it's been so much. I mean, everyone's great. From, you know, Sonny is brilliant, and you know, he's directing, Jake Schreier's directing, and then just having like Cailee so awesome.
Yeah.
It's kind of like we're all like connected because she worked with Alex on Civil War, and like, you know, we're working on Beef, and she plays my fiance, and we're really close, and so that's just, you know, I kind of feel like she would have been great if she was doing Warfare with us.
Oh,
know?
awesome!
If, you know, she would have
bought into the process.
Like immersed, like, you know, she has my back, I have her back, and Carrie and Oscar are incredible.
Awesome.
It's been really very different.
Yeah.
You know, I've been very fortunate to experience kind of a different journey, a different process with each thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, from, you know, all the things I've done, and like, you know, before our film, you know, May, December, and then to A24, all different kinds of processes.
Yeah.
Where, you know, with all, you know, visionaries and
Yeah, man.
tours, and it's like, it's cool. It's yeah, it's very different. I think it's gonna be fun. It's
That's
kind
the
of
cool thing, right? Like, no one job is the same, and so the processes are all different, and the experiences are all
and then TV is always bouncing back. Like, we'll bounce to the end, and then like,
is that trippy? How do you feel? Because we obviously shot Warfare in like
Order.
continuously, and that's a treat, right? That's always
amazing.
Alex, I think, always tries to do that.
Right.
And I think, like, I don't know if Ray is going to do that going forward, but
Right.
how do you find the challenge of shooting out of continuity?
Yeah, it's kind of confusing sometimes.
I struggle, man.
Yeah, you got to kind of remind yourself of like what part of this journey is this role in, like, you know, this guy in, like, where is he? And then, but it's always kind of like, but then also it's kind of good.
Keeps you on your toes a bit.
Keeps you on your toes, and you're like, oh, because I've experienced the end, now I know how maybe there's a clearer picture of how I'm going to start the beginning. Or maybe I'm just being an optimist.
Interesting. No, yeah,
you
that's
know?
interesting. Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, this is where I've ended.
Yeah.
This is the middle.
Yeah.
Oh, now this can be the beginning. But like, there are, you know.
There's also something about, like, you know, that like expression, like, truth is stranger than fiction. And like, I think about this often with acting, where it's like often I feel out of continuity in my own life.
Right.
I feel like Wednesday does not feel like Wednesday.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
actually, in a way, sometimes I feel like I'm living an experience that feels like I'm out of continuity. And so, like, to not fight that, you know, on set or whatever, and actually like lean into it sometimes.
100%. It's very human.
Yeah, it's very human.
Yeah,
it's more real.
Wow.
So sometimes I do kind of feel that way about it. Same time, I haven't done a lot of TV, but I can imagine, like, if you're doing episode 10 in the morning, and then in the afternoon you're going back to, you know, an episode 5 prior to that or whatever. That must have challenges.
I guess you saying that, it's like, I guess I've learned, or I try to surrender to the process and everything.
Right.
There's a lot of surrendering to the process of, like you said, it's not like the beginning of this guy is happy, and then the middle is he's sad, and like the end he's angry. It's like, no, that's not real life. It fluctuates like that. So it's like, there's a lot of surrender through this process and every process. But TV is great. It's great.
I can't wait to see it, man. I'm so excited.
And now, speaking about you, you've been doing this for a long time.
I guess so.
I remember, well, first off, I've already told you this. I was like nervous and excited to work with you.
Dude, I felt the same way.
And I was just like, oh man, that's Will Poulter.
Oh, fuck it up.
I was like, oh fuck, you know, this is shit.
Didn't last long, that.
I was like, I hope he likes me, man. Like, and did he see my movie? I don't know.
Of course I did.
But, you know, it's amazing because, you know, I've followed you. Literally, the first thing I saw you in was the Millers.
Okay,
yeah. And just to see how you've just like progressed to, you know, doing Catherine Bigelow's movie, and then just And then, you know, you have 2 movies coming out. You have Death of a Unicorn.
Yeah.
How was that?
A24.
Yeah. How was that?
Dude, it's really fun. Like, I've been nervous on the press because we all got on really well as a cast,
Right.
and we had so much fun. But I've been very conscious, and I've said this to like my Death of a Unicorn castmates. I'm like, this is the way I put it. I'm like, Death of a Unicorn, for just a pure like fun and like silly comedy perspective,
Right.
it's like the best experience I've ever had.
Right.
But like, my experience on Warfare with all you guys was the most transformative, meaningful experience I've ever had with a cast. So I never wanted to get that twisted. And I'm like saying how much fun I had on Death of the Unicorn. I like never wanted any of our guys to be like, hold on a minute, did you not have fun on our thing? I thought we were like a family, you know. But Death of the Unicorn was such a laugh, man. And like, I did it. Wait, I'm trying to think. Yeah, so I did it before Warfare. They just happened to be coming out kind of around the same time. But, you know, like you said, it's so fun to do something different, and, you know, that comes with a host of other challenges, and, you know, kind of immerses you into like a different process. And yeah, bro, like you said, when you get to work with people you really admire, like Paul Rudd, you know, is such a blast to work with. He's so fun. He's all about play and like enjoying yourself, you know. Jenna's amazing. Been a fan of Jenna for a while. I've never seen her not be great. And, you know, I grew up watching, you know, Richard E. Grant, and it's just like so many like incredible people in it. Cailee was like my North Star on that film, like my kind of like on-set mum, as well as like kind of bestie. So we just had a blast. It was a really fun time. But as far as like transformative kind of personality shaping experiences, nothing comes close to Warfare, and I don't think I'm insulting them by saying that,
Right.
Also, I'm like, you know, there's like 12 lads I have to answer to if I say anything bad about Warfare. That's a scary prospect.
Starting with me.
Exactly, starting with you right now.
What did you say,
though? Exactly.
You've done so many different kinds of so many different genres, and like, I mean, again, for the sake of it not being the other films that I've seen here not being A24 films, I'm not going to even mention them. But like, if anyone's followed your work, they can see just like you're just shape shifting so much. And so, what's like your process, like your thought process when it comes to like choosing the next thing? Are you kind of like, I need to relax on this, or, you know, is it the director? Is it the story? Is the money?
No, listen, I appreciate you, like, you know, paying me that compliment about doing lots of different things, because that's what you do, man. And like, you know how much I love your work, and also how much I respect kind of your process and how you go about it. But man, I've been really, like, you make a really good point. Like, the first thing is like, you're really grateful to be working, right, as an actor. Like, you just have to remind yourself of that first and foremost. I've had so much good luck and fortune come my way, and the reality is like, for the vast majority of people, like, you know, a certain amount of like good luck has to break your way, and I'm very aware of that. I'm very aware of the fact that like some of the best actors are walking around working other jobs right now, outside of acting. So there's that firstly, and then I think the thing that I'm sort of attached to more and more is like the social application of the work, and how it's gonna like change people's perspective, like stimulate discussion. Like, I'm really hoping, like, you know, Warfare contributes to the conversation around war and the concepts of like conflict and whatnot, in a way that hasn't necessarily been discussed before. You know, and then also like with something like Death of a Unicorn, like I hope it offers people a bit of like a laugh and a moment of escapism from you know, what is a difficult moment in many respects. And
sorry to cut you off.
No,
it's gonna be just insane watching, because I've only seen the trailer of Death of a Unicorn. I want to see it. But seeing you in that compared to what we did and what we shot, just a complete...
But damn, man, with beef.
Insane.
Like, dude, that's all with you,
it's
you know?
Insane. And, you know, I don't know if you remember this. I remember when... You remember how Alex and Ray would give us 20 minutes to rehearse the scenes?
Yeah, and then like come back.
Yeah, and then come back. Within the Blue Dividers. I remember everyone was talking about when you guys were rehearsing the first part. Gandolfini told me this story, and I loved it. It was about you. It's because we were so in it. We were in the thick of it. And we would get, and like, you know, it was a huge responsibility. It was very emotional, the whole process. And like, you being OIC, you had to kind of like, you know, the role, you had to take charge of a lot of different things. And I just remember everyone just like loving and being in awe of seeing your human frustration come out when you like, because you care so much. It's amazing to see someone care so much and just get so frustrated and go internally, because you're like, oh, I get that guy. That's me. But Gandolfini,
who's the world's best storyteller, by the way.
The best storyteller. He should tell this story because it's so beautiful and he's probably a lot more eloquent than I am.
No, I just
blink twice if I should stop.
He would not at all.
But do you know? Okay,
not blinking. But he just regale us every night with amazing stories. Yeah,
you like through the script and just through it. Like it was just so safe that we could just go through that and be upset and frustrated and like try to figure it out, because we had a responsibility, not just as actors, but like to Ray, to Elliot, to Alex, to all the servicemen.
The pressure of that, like
that was just like amazing to see. You know.
It's interesting.
I loved it.
Oh, it's so funny because I just had a little tantrum because like I recognize that you're like hard on yourself too, and it's a challenge, isn't it? Like holding yourself to a standard that you want to meet, but also not being so hard on yourself that you become like a saboteur, or like you know what I mean? Like give yourself a steeper climb than you need to make. Does that make sense? Right. Like that's a challenge. I feel like we should maybe talk a little bit about just on Warfare, like, well, obviously we only represent a very small fraction of the cast, and like it feels wrong not to like talk about some of the guys on this, and like because the experience being as special as it was is predicated on how special they are as humans. And it's really funny, like, you know, the first time we all hung out, we're like in this like tea room conservatory sort of thing at the back of this hotel.
Peacocks running around
everywhere. And you know, you don't really know how like 13 guys are gonna like get on with one another. And also shout out to Hyder and Nathan as well, who played the Iraqi scouts, who such great actors, such lovely guys, and were a major part of the process as well. You don't know how everyone's going to like gel and get on. And obviously we've spoken about how the formalities, the protocol, the sort of chain of command inform things. But like, as serious as it was and as intense as it was, like we had so many laughs too.
So many.
Like it was so fun, man.
I was. I know everyone was really intimidated to meet me when I showed up.
Really? You I was all right. What
are you telling me? Yeah, everyone was really scared. Someone rolled out a red carpet for me, and I was like, God, it's fucking chill.
It was really interesting watching all those different sort of personalities kind of come into contact with each other.
And nobody, like, I think that's like the beautiful thing, like with humility, I feel like you can, whatever personality you have, if you just have humility and like love is behind that humility, I think you can find love to like for anyone. Like we all were there, like we weren't here to like add this to our resume or this and that. We weren't here for the paycheck. It was such a fun group, all from like different parts of the world and different experiences up to date. And remember when they gave us night vision goggles to take home?
Yes.
And like,
which was an insane decision to give our group night vision goggles to take home, because naturally we just ran around the hotel with the night vision goggles on. And we sang
happy birthday to Noah Centineo's birthday. Remember we were outside wearing our goggles and we were like, how the fuck does this work? We're like blinding ourselves almost.
Oh my God.
We sang him happy birthday. You remember that?
I do remember that. We would like, after every day, we'd all eat together. We'd probably all work out together. We'd smoke cigarettes and drink Diet Cokes in the garden together. Like, and that was pretty much how every single day went.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting as well how, you know, for the sake of like balance in the social experience, we'd go from these really, really intense conversations and naturally like really, really intense kind of serious work straight to like the silliest, most ridiculous, like joking around you can imagine. It was really fun to be able to do both at once.
We played Mafia. That was fun.
We played a lot of games of Mafia. You were like the games master, right?
Yeah,
you would like run that.
Yeah.
Mafia was fun.
I'll never forget. Do you remember when you, me, and Joe were having a conversation and just like, you know, leadership, we're having a conversation, and Kit was walking towards us and like just like so happy and jolly, and I just shoved my hand on Kit and I looked at him and I was like, no. Not right now.
I don't even remember that.
He was like, you he was so
and we're like, no, this is a serious moment. We're not joking around. He's like,
no, really, right. He was
there were so
in a
many bits that you had to constantly be on your toes. There was also a habit of, and the armourers ended up like stepping in. There was also a habit of like stealing guys' handguns off them.
Right.
You constantly had to be. I got zip tied to a chair at one point
really
without
funny.
me knowing.
You fell asleep.
I fell asleep. Oh, when guys fell asleep, people would get photographs taken of them, or they'd get like messed with in some way.
DP's got so many.
DeFaro was.
Didn't someone stack like 10 books on his head while he was asleep?
We stacked as like several different household items on his head when he was asleep. Michael Gandolfini is the greatest storyteller and one of the funniest human beings.
He's the best
of all time. TJ, I think TJ and Evan could actually both legitimately be team guys.
Yeah.
And kind of like ran point on weapons handling.
Yeah, they're great.
When Ray wasn't directly involved, which was amazing.
Yeah. Cosmo's so funny.
Cosmo is
the biggest sweetheart.
Beating heart of our group. Amazing to see how the process sort of took hold of him as well, and he's like surrendered to the idea of like being a sort of a team guy, you know.
Right.
And because I think he'll admit himself, he's like kind of like started off lone wolf and then just became like the beating heart of our group.
Yeah.
Noah wore the same outfit
every day
for 2 months. For a man as handsome and as fashionable as I know him to be, it's hilarious that he just rocked like basketball shorts and the same black hoodie and the same white t-shirt with holes in it.
Yeah.
And slides for 2 months straight. I love him for it.
And then Finn,
and you and Finn's relationship on screen is obviously like that.
Yeah.
You guys were so great together.
Finn's so sweet. He's so great.
He's awesome. Aiden, another a fellow Brit. Finn's from Ireland, but a fellow Brit, and did such a awesome job as the other Marine with Michael. He's so good in the movie and had the comms thing down in an amazing way. Watching him Wild Eagle Base, Wild Eagle 2, like
that's pretty amazing.
Real.
Yeah,
Joe Quinn.
Well,
we touched on Joey earlier, but what an actor, man! What a guy. Always spoke really well. I thought like when we'd huddle up. Hyde is a prankster. Still pranking us on the WhatsApp group. And is amazing. Nathan gave one of the best performances I've ever seen when we did do you remember the exercise? We did the training exercise we did. One of our like simulated missions. Nathan played a wounded soldier and like it was like an Oscar goes to moment during this like mission simulation as part of training, to the point where I was like,
that was fucking crazy.
Dude, you got to tone it down because we can't hear each other. Your screaming is so realistic.
Did someone tell him to do that?
I don't know.
Remember when we were like, Cosmo, where's Ida? He goes, I don't know. I
left him.
I saw him and I just left him. That was insane.
That was insane. Also, Kit, who, by the way, Babyface was his nickname, who, like, looks physically identical to Tommy. Like his physicality was like a perfect match. And also, for me, Kit in this film did such an incredible job. And he's also a reminder of the fact that, like, in a role where you don't necessarily have like a ton of dialogue, like, you know, he's so impactful.
So impactful.
He's so real in every moment.
He's so wise. I can't believe he's 20.
I know, it's nuts.
Or he just turned 21.
I think he's just turned 21, isn't he? Yeah, and he's like more mature than all of us. I think we covered all of the guys. Right?
I think so. We
didn't
saved the
leave-
best for last.
We didn't leave anyone out. Yeah, Babyface.
Babyface. God, everyone's so incredible.
Yeah, I'm super proud of the group.
Me too.